and gentlemen, it is the final match of opening weekend. We have got the Minnesota Røkkr taking on OpTic Texas, and what is surely going to be a barn burner of a series. As we've talked about numerous times, if you've been in the stream, you've already heard us say it, but it's all right. Both teams looking for their first win. Røkkr, a very difficult schedule coming up. We talked about how it is a must-win for both of these teams, and somebody has got to budge, Jay.
Yeah, someone's definitely got to come out on top between both of these gauntlet of rosters. When you think about both of these two teams, obviously for the Minnesota side, since they have the chemistry, they've been together for quite some time, I feel like they have the edge in search and destroy. So this series is all going to come down to the respawns. OpTic yesterday, we saw them in their hard points. They come down to crucial moments where they need to rotate. aLLeY says it all the time on the desk. They just don't. You need to keep that in your back pocket today, and I'm pretty sure Rambo has drilled it into their minds going into this match.
Yeah, as you said, when it comes down to OpTic Texas, a team that is prone to mistakes, much like every other roster, you have to imagine that Coach Rambo Ray is going to be extra hard on this group before, considering all of the hype that's around this team, right? When we talk about, this new OpTic and Envy era, this is huge, right? This is a big brand move. We talk about the new franchise in OpTic Texas, of course, Dallas Empire, OpTic Chicago last season. They're now combined this year. A lot of chips are on the table. There's a lot of expectation around this for to really perform and to be that team that we've really waited for over the past few seasons. I mean, we talked about it last year, Cold War, that OpTic team yet to get to that final. A big match, to put it lightly, all ready to start off the season. And it's fair to say, right, a lot of our top teams that we expected coming into opening weekend, they've struggled, right? We talk about New York, 0-2. FaZe have had to work for every win that they have accrued, and the same thing can be said for other teams as well. But here's another look at our maps and modes in case you're just joining us. Tuscan to start and Berlin to end. Our first three will be on Tuscan, and hopefully we don't end it out on 3, because I'd love to see some Berlin, one of my favorite maps, but we'll see what ends up going down. We apologize for the slight delay, but I'm being told that we are just a matter of moments from getting into our opening Tuscan hardpoint. Jay, walk us through this map a little bit. Tell us, what are the hardpoints to focus on, the money hills, all of the fun stuff.
Well, P1, we know it's going to be absolute chaos. Both of these teams are just going to try to get as much time as they possibly can. But if you can get to that P2 spawn and block the backside, we saw the way Atlanta FaZe was just able to hold it down in that last series, basically a full 60 every time. And if you can get that full 60 there and also chain that with some kills and flip those spawns to P3, that's also a great money hill to just blow this lead wide open on such a great map. I feel like this is our best hardpoint map that we have out of all 4 of them.
That's a great call, and I would probably, it's definitely up there for me as well. I think maybe tied between that and Berlin. Not exactly sure, but it's fun. It's a fun map. We love to be in the Italian streets, and here we go. OpTic Texas versus the Minnesota Røkkr. A grueler of a series and a lot on the line, as the Røkkr will start off on the preferred side and get through our very first few points. But it's Scump, it's iLLeY, it's everybody from the OpTic Texas side showing at the slang that they can provide us with. Scump not just for 1, but for 2, as Texas reclaims P1.
And this is a beautiful start for OpTic. You see how aggressive they are towards the opposite side of the map as well. Look at the positioning of Shotzzy as he does find a kill. Even though Priestahh does find 2 into the middle of the map, OpTic are still holding down a good chunk of time over this P1 when you usually do not see things like this. But with 20 seconds left, OpTic, their main focus now has to be on the rotation. You do not want to die off that rotation and allow Minnesota to start spawning in the back.
And that was the big thing, partner, that we learned in that London Royal Raven series. It was on the Berlin hardpoint specifically. A big talking point was on how, this OpTic Texas team, they can struggle from time to time in these rotations. It's going to be a big one here off the rip at Column. We'll see how they look to try and attack the Røkkr. As a setup looking somewhat solid to start. Shotzzy off to a nice 3-2 beginning for him. Some long-range shots from attaches, nothing lands, and iLLeY puts in the pressure to start, but now it's up to Priestahh as he hits all 4s, lands on the cold floor, and Texas continue to roll. The Shotzzy drops toward top broken.
And OpTic, they had everything cut off, but with those 2 pieces coming in from Minnesota, they're finally able to break into this hard point. And just looking at the minimap, I just see Scump just staring at the wall, so we're probably going to have a reset here.
You like to think. You like to think. Maybe he's kind of important, kind of crucial to this team. We apologize. We'll see what exactly is going on. But yeah, Scump, I mean, maybe he's just a big fan of the, I don't know, maybe on the elements that Tuscan provides you. It is a beautiful map, Jay. You got to admit, it's a nice map.
Yeah, he got blinded by the sun. He said, no, I didn't bring any sun and tanning lotion with me today. I'm just going to back myself out of this lobby. I don't want to get sunburned. But we're going to have a restart. And that's kind of unfortunate on the side of OpTic because they had such a good start to that P1 hardpoint, even spawning on the bad side. So now off the reset, it gives Minnesota the opportunity to change a little bit going into the breakoff.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it's obviously unfortunate. We'll still continue to update you on the best way that we can. We're being told that it was, in fact, a game crash. So, yeah, it was not Scump just enjoying looking at the wonderful appeal that Tuscan can provide us with. It was an unfortunate crash. But like you said, that does give a great opportunity here for Røkkr to try and rebound, to figure out maybe a few of the mistakes that they made off of the rip. Because, granted, it was a little teaser, but Texas, the way that they were slaying at P1, it made you happy a little bit if you're an OpTic fan.
Definitely, especially when you're spawning on the bad side. Usually you do not see them putting a lot of pressure towards that if they don't win their initial gunfights. So the fact that they opened up with 3 early kills, that's what led to them getting about 25 to 30 seconds and keeping that rotation towards B2. They were set up for that as well, but obviously Scump, his game disconnects, and now we're going into a reset. They just have to keep that same mentality going into this because it's all about the start off, especially if they can continue that on the reset to start off by dominating the game the way they were.
And I'm sure, Jay, as a former player, it's always frustrating, right? Whenever you go to a restart, it always works to the benefit of somebody, though, right? The team who doesn't play well off the rip, you're like, oh, darn, Scump's game crashed. Well, shoot, right? But at the same time, for OpTic Texas, it's got to be a little frustrating already, considering, like you said, the hype that's around this match, the eyes that are going to be on this game. Everybody is going to be staring at OpTic Texas to see what they can try and do after the loss that they had versus the London Royal Ravens. And really, Jay, it felt like social media was on fire after that loss they had.
It was. They definitely were, man, because it's something that caught everyone off guard. London, when they came in their first match, they got 3-0 just smoked. It wasn't even close. And I mean, no, they actually dominated that series. But London, we just weren't expecting that.
Right, exactly.
London with such young talent coming in from challenger players. You have multiple players that are going against some of the biggest names in Call of Duty, and they were able to outslay them a majority of those respawns. So just caught OpTic off guard. They just need to be able to completely forget about that. Just go into this series with your head held up high.
Yeah, I think the same thing can also be said from the Minnesota side, right? I mean, they come into that kickoff classic. There's already a lot of talk about them being one of only 3 rosters that kept the same team moving into Vanguard. They obviously had the Minnesota Miracle when it came down to that Stage 5 Major versus the Ultra. And then they come into that series versus New York, and they get 3-0 smoked. And we're like, okay, so where does the Røkkr sit right now? I'm sure from the players' side, they're really antsy to get in this match. Like I said, man, the pressure is at an all-time high for both of these teams. And like we said, Røkkr's schedule, it's not going to get any easier. I just saw a quick little interview from Saint, and he was like, I don't know who just gave us this schedule, but it is not going to be easy. Like we said, after this game, they've got Seattle, then London, then Atlanta, and then to close it out, they have got the Guerrillas. So, like we said, in this series, to set the tone right would be huge for this Røkkr team that, like we said, also, much like OpTic, has got a lot of eyes on them.
And it all is going to be coming down to just getting early into this game. Because if you're Minnesota, you're able to slay with the best. We saw it happen versus New York. It's all about just trading those kills and getting some hill time. Right into the game we go. This time around, Minnesota once again still spawning on the better side. OpTic not going to start off with their 3 pieces. Minnesota are going to have control.
And that is a nice little team shot off the rip for Røkkr. Scump looks to try to make his way inside of you. He gets met with some fire, and that's going to be 3 down. Make it 4 down for Texas off the rip. Røkkr's thinking, hey, you know what? Maybe that restart was a solid opportunity for us. 20 unanswered points. And for Texas, you got to think, hey, do we want to try to push P1? Yes, but at the same time, we're also going to be thinking about spawns for next. A great start for Attach, and he falls at 3-1. And Shotzzy, pedal to the metal, he gets cut down at the Russian toward the Røkkr side.
So instead of OpTic getting 25 seconds, at least they're still going to be able to get a good 20 and keep the spawns. Just have to make sure that you're not dying off this rotation, as iLLeY's able to find 2 off the old. But just look at the minimap. Number 6 in Attach, he was able to sneak his way all the way through the back. He can cause problems for OpTic.
And it looked like Shotzzy, somewhat of a sense of urgency. Maybe he has somewhat of an idea that somebody could be back here, but some big kills going down toward the front side while Attach still lingers in the back. iLLeY finding himself on 5 in a row. Can make it 6. Could it be a streak? No. Attach will be there to shut it down. One of the more difficult positions on Tuscan is once you get back toward this tank area. Attach doing everything he can, and that will allow for the Røkkr to be in a 3v1 advantage toward the hard point. We'll see if they can utilize that advantage or if it'll all come crumbling down. Scump from the skies, but Standy turns it into a two-piece.
And now with 25 seconds left, Minnesota should be able to win this rotation. It's going to be a huge gunfight coming in from MajorManiak as he's going to be the only player on that side of the map currently. All of OpTic trying to rotate through middle map. Minnesota were able to take this lead with the remaining junk time. But OpTic, they're going to go right up that middle alley, and this can catch him off guard. MajorManiak thinks his back is going to be safe, but OpTic are going to be able to break through, not 3 players off the rotation.
That's great coordination, right? To read the fact that one player from Røkkr is going to be here, player 1, player 3, Scump and iLLeY combined to take him out collectively. And now they've got control over one of the better hills in Vanguard, one of the best money hills in the entire game here over at Fountain. It can be a problem to try and break on in, but Røkkr so far are doing an excellent job at it. It's 2, make it 3 for Priestahh in the midst of this break. They're coming from the roofs and they make their hill their own. Now up by 12, and OpTic, all they can do is try to look and break. But with Priestahh being in this perspective, it's not going to be easy. But OpTic, they find 4 themselves. Back and forth we go.
They're able to break right through the front. It was a great place from Priestahh to flip those spawns, but OpTic able to get right back in with 20 seconds left. They have the potential to take this lead here. As spawns are still coming in roof side for Minnesota. They're not going to challenge. They're just going to think big picture. We got to get over to that P4. Scump is going to be here. Unfortunately, loses that gunfight. So now this is going to allow Minnesota to get properly set up for this P4 hardpoint.
We'll see how Texas look to try to break this again. They'll grab the final few seconds. A slight advantage as we come in toward our 4th hill of the first set of rotation, 78 to 67. Røkkr with a solid setup for the time. iLLeY looking to break on through the front. Does not have a trophy to join alongside of him, so he was completely blind and somewhat immobile as he ran through the bottom side of Church. Dashy trying the exact same strategy, and it works out quite nicely there for Bruce. Player number 3 in iLLeY looks to try to challenge toward the backside of Church. It will be a pinch set up for OpTic Texas, somewhat halted as iLLeY gets taken down. It's all going to be a focus toward the front. Shotzzy, a prayer, but gets taken down as well. First wave down, and Røkkr now hold.
Minnesota just came out on top in those trades. Kills are going back and forth, but right there was big shots coming in from attached to take down Shotzzy, which is our game fuel featured player. Now you just have to start thinking about the rotation, though. If you're OpTic, you have to get someone over towards that P5. They're able to break into this hard point, but this eventually flips the spawn. So now this should allow Minnesota to be at P5 off the rip.
We'll see what they can do with it. Shotzzy, our game fuel featured player, established in toward the middle side of the map. The reason why we reference this is he can cause some issues here on the flank, and Minnesota are not going to read this play. Great job here from the Ant-Man just to cause some issues in the back of the base, allow for this early push to not nearly be as grounded as Røkkr would like. Attach trying to make the play, but Shotzzy's able to cut him down. Now make that 3 in a row for him. His teammates drop for the front. It's all going to be on to him, but that very well may not be a problem at all. Now make it 4 in a row, 5 before he gets taken down. Some great plays coming through from Shotzzy. We'll see if it adds anything else up now for the Texas side, as it's an all-out battle in the command center.
A whole-out battle. Kills are going back and forth. It's still going to be contested, but OpTic are able to come out on top for the time being. 15 seconds remaining on this hill. It looks like it's going to go in favor of Minnesota, as they do have the lead for the time. But off the rotation, it's going to be MajorManiak versus iLLeY. iLLeY just playing his life, waiting for his teammates to get closer towards this point before he commits towards his challenge.
Oh, in a big fight, MajorManiak does end up losing it. Attach will pick his weapon off the ground and says, you know what, the automaton is a quite solid of a weapon. Priestahh decides to jump on in the hill. He gets picked apart as well. A good plays from Texas. Again, walking away with the early 1v1 and setting themselves up for success. The rotations will continue to be the talking point about this team, Jay, and right now they've got themselves a 15-point advantage. Let's go ahead and step aside and see how the comms sound with OpTic Texas.
You one shot, guys.
Other times I don't.
That's on you. You dead? They're got ready. Yo, we flipped this one.
Touch middle there.
We flipped this one. Yeah, one shot, please.
Get him. Give me mid, guys.
Go. Give him. I'm in. Yo, I'm going. I'm trying to take a pick.
I'll go left, guys. I'll go left.
Yeah. Yo, reflank B main. Reflank B main now. Yo, hold the back slow.
I picked it because he saw me too.
Okay.
I'm going back to you.
So they're gonna be plat. They're gonna be all over plat.
Take it down. I'm not radio. They're ready on green.
Yo, shoot plat. One gonna be main now. I'm
What is radio?
Yo, top plat of me. I'm trying to jump down. He's back down plat.
One more short, Major.
They're gonna spawn back.
Spawning back. Nice. Go spawning back.
Watch that. Under ladder. Yeah, he committed me. I died. He ramp I think and back right.
Keep on, get time.
Yo, one, two truck major, hitting short. Okay, radio.
Take my time.
I've been radio. Radio one.
Well, Stud, this team has been criticized a lot from the outside on their communication. How'd you feel the comms sounded there?
I thought they were beautiful, especially from iLLeY. Like, I was wondering who was going to be the leader, who's going to be the guy that's calling off the rotations. And iLLeY, he was actually the general. He was saying, hey, let's make sure we post up in the back, make sure we're blocking the back spawns. And that's what's eventually allowed OpTic to just dominate the P1 to P2 chain and grow this lead by 60 points. Now off the rotation, pretty sure Shotzzy, our game field featured player, was able to pick up some streaks, so you can use those, attack the roof side to completely break it.
That's a perfect call, and we'll see exactly how they look to utilize those strats, utilize those streaks in particular. As Shotzzy now calls in the glide bomb. We'll see what damage this can do, because yes, it takes players down now, and Standy will learn that the hard way. The attack from roofs will begin, and it is an excellent start. Still 2 players back here. Shotzzy will watch somebody spawn. It's actually gonna be MajorManiak, who's only there for a brief moment. In and out he goes. There goes Dashy as well, and it will be a Røkkr hold to start the streaks, and that roof side push thwarted for now.
Yeah, that's just super unfortunate for OpTic. I would have liked to see Shotzzy use that streak when his teammates were a little bit closer towards potentially blocking a spawn there, but eventually Minnesota, they spawned back fountain. They were able to pick up all the kills and hold this remaining time. As OpTic, with 15 seconds left on this junk, they're not really worried about that. They're just trying to get to that 250 mark. 10 seconds here, we put them at 220. Now, if you're Minnesota, you have to start playing some perfect hardpoint from here on out.
Yeah, it's also gonna have to be a perfect hold here at Church, and it could be the right hardpoint for the job. Scump watches a nade flight right past his face, maybe even a second stun at that. Doing a great job at that damage control, but getting a little bit hot toward the top side of the Church. OpTic looking for the right timing on when they look to deem the push, and it's the King who leads the cavalry inside. It's iLLeY who gets taken down. Dashy falls as well, and it's all going to be on to Shotzzy, who goes big for the first. Can he find the second? He will. Shotzzy is on one so far in this opening hardpoint. 29 and 14. The streak nearly gets extended, but he at least allows for OpTic to get a moment inside of the hill. Røkkr are able to rebound for the moment, but it cannot be denied. Shotzzy 29 and 16, having himself a map.
This has been a great hold for Minnesota. They're only going to be down by 60 points now. They're also going to win the rotation over towards P5. So if I'm OpTic, that comes down to a situation where it's 20 seconds left. You guys are all spawning P1. Someone's got to rotate. We got to be thinking big picture here. But when Scump, Shotzzy, and Dashy find 3 off the rotation, last player here is going to be MajorManiak and Priestahh. Major's going to die to the stun. Priestahh, last player on the steps. OpTic are just waiting for the flood as Scump sits in the corner, finds 2. That's going to be 3 dead. OpTic have control.
It was not a great start for Scump, but he has absolutely picked it up. The entire Texas team rallying, though, around both Shotzzy and iLLeY. The Empire's finest as nearly gets picked apart. He drops inside a radio, but it could set up iLLeY for a few of his own. MajorManiak accidentally takes down Priestahh. Only 3 more seconds before this map will belong to OpTic Texas. MajorManiak trying to hold off for as long as he can, defending the best way possible. Stun is the utility. Tossed out here in the command center. The nades continue to fly as Shotzzy adds on another 2 toward his overall kill total, and he could end it out as well. A perfect ending to what was a solid map from Shotzzy. OpTic Texas taking map number 1 on Tuscan.
And Shotzzy is the tone setter right there. 34 and 17, just taking over the entirety of the map. Great work coming in from OpTic. You can just tell the adjustments have already been made from yesterday to today. Every single time yesterday when they rotated, they would get immediately broken in the first 15 to 20 seconds. We saw them hold great holds on P2, and then eventually we're able to chain a good chunk of time of that towards that P3 as well. That was just great overall performance from OpTic. Great consistency when it came to the slaying, great rotations, great everything, great communication. On the opposite side for Minnesota, I'm pretty sure everyone was sitting at negative. Before they started this series, they were struggling when everyone was going positive, they still couldn't win. But now when everyone's going negative, that shows that they're gonna lose by a bigger margin here. When you're getting outslayed by that much, OpTic are able to walk away with it now 1-0.
Yeah, Shotzzy 34 and 18, iLLeY 26 and 15. As you said, partner, nobody from the Røkkr. A positive or even game at that. A solid win for Texas off the rip as they'll take this one 250 to 157 as we'll take a look at a few of the highlights throughout this Tuscan hardpoint. I mean, you called it perfectly, my man. I mean, it felt like for Texas, nothing really was going wrong. Everything seemed to be going their direction. I mean, what, even when we reference to that Fountain Hill, where we're talking about, hey, Røkkr, they've got spawns, they're in a good position. The streak comes in from Shotzzy, and it doesn't really do a whole lot. Despite that, they're at least contesting, right? They're at least causing Røkkr to work for every single second. And from the Minnesota side, it just felt like they could not get anything going. And a lot of that could be because of Shotzzy.
Yeah, I think they were just doing the right things. They were properly setting up for the breaks the way that they wanted to. That's how you're supposed to execute these plays. Not just go in there and someone try to be a hero. When Shotzzy calls in that streak, he allows two of his teammates to push up the roof. Even though the spawns don't flip, OpTic still have a great picture of how they want to get the job done. The game plan is there, and so far throughout this series, based on that map number 1, they are definitely following it.
Yeah, they definitely are. A solid beginning here for OpTic. And we talk about, a few of the search and destroy woes. It's big to grab that early hard point. We also know this Røkkr team is well fitted when it comes down to search and destroy, not just because of the players that you have on the team, not just because of the record they had last year, but because you have the same 4 players. Again, a huge win for OpTic Texas to start off this series versus a Røkkr team who is prepared, who is ready to come into this game. You cannot prepare for numbers like this, Jay. You can't prepare for Shotzzy to go up the way he just did.
And you can just tell the guy was having fun out there. Like, his finesse was on point. His movement was on point. 34 and 18, 26 non-traded kills, and then also a minute and 30 in the hill. The guy just stepped up tremendously for this OpTic squad to go up 1-0 into this series. I was expecting them to show a good showing into the hard point, but now they're going into a search and destroy. We saw them yesterday versus London. They lost both search and destroys in a 6-5 fashion. It comes down to some certain situations where OpTic, they take full control of a site, but they wait too long to either plan it or allow a play to develop. They just need to be quick on their reactions, quick on their mid-round adjustments, because Minnesota, like I said, their chemistry, S&D, has always been their bread and butter.
Yeah, I know OpTic Texas did take the Berlin S&D, but as you said, they start up 4-2 on both of the S&Ds. They lose the final one on Bocage in round 11. The second one also goes to round 11 as well. Just really shaky performances across the board, really throughout that entire series versus the Royal Ravens. But the one big thing, Jay, as we begin to keep this conversation on Tuscan, again, we're not leaving Italy for a while. We're going to be here for a decent amount of time. The search and destroy side, we talked about stats. aLLeY pointed it out perfectly coming into this. OpTic, so far in offense, not been great for them. If you're not winning offense on Tuscan, there's a problem. They're going to have to be on point and continue to make the adjustments the same way that they did in Hardpoint, now in the search and destroys.
But you can just tell, just based off that first map, like Shotzzy, he's feeling himself. So he's going to be all out aggressive towards the middle of the map. Looking at him to have a way better performance than he did yesterday in Search and Destroy. Him and iLLeY really need to be those X factors. We saw iLLeY, he was able to drop chopsticks yesterday versus London, which led to them winning in that 6-5 on that map number 2. But this guy, he can really take over the games. And on the opposite side for Minnesota, just based off what we have at kickoff, they lost the Desert Siege Search and Destroy 6-3 to New York. And Attach really didn't have his best performance. He was like 2-7 with a 0.2 KD, and that's simply for the fact that he was losing a majority of those sniper battles. So now on a map like Tuscan, where you're not going to see a lot of impactful snipes, probably a little bit towards the B site and towards the middle of the map, but this should allow Attach to really work together with Standy as an army of 2 on the late flanks.
Yeah, that's a great call. We'll see him definitely get in the mix on occasion, right? You will see that sniper maybe brought out toward the field, but it will be more of a back and forth affair. We'll see how both teams feel when it comes down to that card 98K. But once more, Shotzzy, we'll see what he can do. Game Fuel featured player. We'll toss over a few names alongside the squad mates, and that's going to make MajorManiak not feel nearly as comfortable. Brought down to 50 HP as he'll have to seize. Back on up. Scump looking for the first blood, but it's Standy's turn for some revenge. Shotzzy on the other end as the SMGs are out to play. Røkkr currently with man advantage, up 3v2.
So now to 3v2, the bomb is going to be down as Shotzzy was able to find that kill across the map. So they know that Shotzi's roaming around the middle. But he is going to get spotted. Standy unfortunately loses that gunfight, so now it's going to be iLLeY in a 1v2. With 50 seconds left, Minnesota still have to work the bomb. They're just trying to not get bad timing on what position iLLeY's going to attempt to hit, as he is going to get spotted by MajorManiak. 1v2, 40 seconds left, Minnesota picking it up.
The best thing for iLLeY, though, is that he's got some solid weapons. The problem being that Attach just hear him. iLLeY can find the timing. Attach is right behind him. They're right next to each other. iLLeY's able to win the fight. It's also going to be bombed down. MajorManiak completely caught off guard. He realizes now that he's going to have to get into the fight. iLLeY will back up. and potentially allow for that bomb to get planted. Major will look to drop this as the objective is in. iLLeY quickly on the prowl, searching through middle. The fight's about to come in. iLLeY doesn't look both ways, and MajorManiak, they just ran right past each other. They just ran right past each other. What is going on? Major re-challenging onto the site. iLLeY, though, will walk away with it. A 1v2 for iLLeY off the start will give Texas the round.
I cannot believe he just made that play. 1v2 situation. Obviously, the bomb's all the way across the map, but iLLeY, being the great search and destroy player that he is, he knows that eventually they're going to commit this bomb towards B. He puts himself in a nice spot. Attach and him walk right by each other, basically gave each other a high five before iLLeY was able to take him down. And then with 12 seconds left, the bomb gets planted, forces it to a 1v1. It was just bad timing for both players there. But iLLeY, with that MP40 in those close range engagements, is going to walk away with the gunfight. OpTic taking the momentum to him in that early round.
Yeah, they absolutely are. How about the plays from iLLeY? Already showing off to this OpTic fan base the talent that he can provide us with in some search and destroy. Major already off the start, getting a nice kill there from top broken. This little shutdown. Shotzzy and Attach has got a nade. I believe that was a double nade coming in from the Røkkr. Great execution there to take down iLLeY. Dashy gets dropped as well, and already it is Scump left in a 1v4.
He's going to break on through. Unfortunately, runs into the pre-aim of Attach, so that was a great defensive hold from Minnesota. It all starts off with MajorManiak. Once he finds that first blood onto Shotzzy, which is the bomb carrier in the middle of the map, they set up a beautiful team nade onto the player and towards top fire. Once that guy drops, you see Dashy. He has to hesitate to go from top turrets to bottom, and MajorManiak, he gets the perfect timing on him, is able to line up that kill, force it into a 4v1. No, Scump's a great player, but it's not an easy task to get done. Minnesota tie it up.
Yeah, indeed they will. Both attacking grounds not working out for either side, which is somewhat uncommon on a map like Tuscan. We'll see how Texas look to try to defend this. Maybe make it 3 for 3. And once again, MajorManiak in there for the first blood. He's already at 5-1. To kick off this game, a few first blood medals to go along with it. Shotzzy gets dropped as well, and the stuns, the nades, attacks, everything continues to rain throughout the middle side of the map. His Attach will look to plant the bomb down. And Scump finally able to find at least one pick there on the Priestahh.
So now in a 3v2, but you have to pay attention to the minimap. Look at the positioning of Standy. He's going to try to work his way around the flank. He is going to get spotted. Scump does lose a huge one-on-one to MajorManiak, so now it's Dashy in the 1v3.
See what Bruce has got for us. 25 seconds to work with the snap for the first, and the instant nade will bring him down to 30 HP. Standy from one side and Attach from the other as they'll look to play peekaboo over at the bomb site. Attach for visuals. Dashy continues to lay down the lead, but it does not look like this will be a similar situation to what we saw in the last round. Some good shots, but Røkkr did not allow for the clutch this time.
And once again, Minnesota, another first blood coming in out of MajorManiak. Once they find that first kill, they were just slowly waiting for OpTic to make a mistake, waiting for someone to try to be a playmaker. Shotzzy tries to jump down towards the middle of the map. They take him down, 4v2. Then eventually you work that bomb plant. You should be able to close out the round. Minnesota with 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, great stuff for Minnesota. And that's the thing with this roster, right, that we talk about. I mean, when MajorManiak was in and out of the team last year, I had the chance to interview him in his first series back with Minnesota. And they looked a little bit shaky in S&D to start, and he was like, trust me, man, don't worry about our S&D. We're going to be just fine. And that's something that you can always trust when these 4 players, when this Røkkr team is with each other. They just know how this mode works, and you can count another first blood for Minnesota here in round 4. MajorManiak, solid toss of the nade, puts a little bit more of elbow grease onto that. Brings iLLeY quite low, but Røkkr continue to work with numbers, and you see, with that bomb down, they do not want to try to give anything else up. A lot of power positions, a lot of control. Dashy having to go for the pick, but Priestahh able to shut him down again.
So now in a 4v2, someone has to try to make a play. Scump is going to get spotted in towards bottom middle. iLLeY does take down one to force it to be a 3v2. But bomb is still going to be down at A. 40 seconds left. Minnesota, they're actually kind of playing this pretty spread. So it's looking like OpTic, they're just going to try to work their way back to the spawn. With 30 seconds left, you have to try to plant this bomb.
Almost felt like for Scump and iLLeY, like they wanted to talk to each other in game, like instead of P5, warm each other up, get each other hype. Is this going to be up to Scump now to 1v2? iLLeY's there for the trade. makes things somewhat easier, but with 13 seconds, there goes Scump. Røkkr off of these first bloods continue to put themselves in man advantages, and Texas not strong enough to say anything about it.
Yeah, so far, OpTic, they're just sending Shotzzy by himself, and it's just catching them off guard, because once they eliminate Shotzzy, they know that the bomb's down. Minnesota, they were able to just completely blind counter that round, send 3 players to that A site. Once they get that first blood, Priestahh puts himself in a great position to find the second, and they've just been dominating these rounds slowly but surely, just picking them apart. That's 3 in a row for Minnesota, back on the offense now.
One thing that I really liked right there was that Standy was actually making the calls. You could see him. He was really leading in the conversations as MajorManiak, giving us another lovely spot to look out for. Prone to those, but the sophomore making the plays, making the calls. The Shotzzy runs right through P5. He'll join the Røkkr really as a member of the team, it felt like. Right into the jaws of Minnesota. As Priestahh will just hang out in the backside of the spawn. Snipe is out for Dashy, and he's able to at least land a shot. Now brings it to a 2 versus 3, and it's going to have to be the ace here for Bruce if he wants to make this search and destroy that much easier score-wise. And Priestahh, oh my gosh, Priestahh somehow saw him despite planting the bomb. He knew that that could be a possibility as Røkkr continued to roll, and Shotzzy really served it on a silver platter.
And that was just another blind counter from Minnesota. Right there, OpTic, they said, hey, nothing is working. We cannot stop their A push. Let's try to push through this B site. Let's try to get through P5. And right there, Minnesota, they were just ready for it. Once again, they opened up with the first blood, win a majority of those trades. And they're just playing textbook search and destroy. If I'm OpTic right now, if you're going into another offensive round, because they've only won their very first defense, they haven't won an offense yet. And on a map like Tuscan, you need to be able to win your offenses. It just all comes down to, hey, let's just work on getting the bomb down. Let's stay right next to each other and play a trade, because so far they haven't even planted yet.
Absolutely right. 2 plants to the side of Røkkr. I think yet from Texas was attacking percentages here in Search and Destroy. Getting back at them. Shotzzy not yet comfortable to plant this bomb down. They don't really have a ton of mid control, as Dashy will look to provide that at the least for the team. And right whenever he peaks, MajorManiak is there to bring him down quite low. And you can just see Texas trying to work on some picks, but again, Dashy gets dropped. MajorManiak has been Mr. First Blood so far throughout this game. As OpTic continue to get picked apart. Shotzzy brought low in HP. Scump decides to bring out Dead Silence. Felt like a player was going to challenge. Shotzzy falls, and my word, as Priestahh will get the strafing run, it's all on to the king, a 1v4. MajorManiak is toying around. He's jumping from side to side, setting up his teammates. Textbook search and destroy from Minnesota. Now make it 5 in a row, stud.
So right there, if you're OpTic, you have A control. Let's just plant the bomb. Don't allow Minnesota to work that pick onto Dashy top fire. All Dashy's job is trying to do is just give the information, trying to put some eyes over it so no one can rush to the middle of the map. But they're just taking so damn long on putting this bomb down that Minnesota are doing whatever they want to retake it. OpTic, you have to be quicker at making your decisions. You have to get this bomb down so you can allow Dashy to change his positioning up to potentially win the round.
Yeah, it just feels like there's just a level of urgency when it came down to the objective. Nobody wanting to get picked, and like I said, just not a clear plan of attack right now throughout this search and destroy, and things are about to get that much more difficult. Priestahh has got some words for Dashy, serving it up nice and hot, does the glide bomb. Another first blood. Granted, it comes from a streak, but it still counts as OpTic Texas once more at the man disadvantage. Bomb is down, and there goes iLLeY, potentially for the final time. Scump gets his second kill of the game. It'll be Priestahh there to seal the deal. Minnesota, 6 rounds in a row to close things out, and you can give them pretty much every single first blood here in this Tuscan S&D as they bring us now to a 1-1 score.
Yeah, that's going to be a tall ladder to climb for OpTic to get better at this mode. You can just tell it's a lot of individual plays, a lot of slowing down, not making in-game decisions that's going to be super quick. Minnesota, they were just able to run all over them throughout the middle of the map. Like OpTic on a map like Tuscan, You expect that one round win that they do have to be on offense, but it's not. It's on defense. They could not win a round on Tuscan on the offensive side. You just got to get the bomb down. You got to allow your teammates to set up around that. But the fact that they were just waiting so long, it gives Minnesota the opportunity to just retake it the way that they want to. Once they solo out Dashy in towards bottom middle, he has to watch multiple different angles. Bottom church, the top crack wall on the top right broken, even the top middle sandbags of church. There's 3 different angles he has to try to pay attention to. But when you're just wasting so much time on trying to plant that bomb, eventually Minnesota find the pick, and then they just play the trade numbers. That was a flawless search and destroy from Minnesota.
Standy, you sound frustrated.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating because these guys know exactly what they need to do. They just haven't put it together yet.
Yeah, they definitely have not. Røkkr, just a picture-perfect S&D, basically mimicking what we saw OpTic do in the opening hardpoint. Both teams having great maps, but we find ourselves at a 1-1 scoreline. But folks, we're not leaving Tuscan. We've seen it for hardpoint. We've seen it for search and destroy, and the tour only will continue now into this control. When we come back after the break, it's time to find out who will take the advantage in this series. Will it be OpTic Texas or the Minnesota Røkkr? We will find out right after this quick break.
Exhausted, I needed the energy, needed to pick me up. I'm in your movie, but this is my cinema. I got the power, I'm built to devour. Anyone coming against me, I tower. I don't care in the pressure. Some of y'all leaving here in the stretcher. Took my time to go and get better. I was reading in the red letters. Ay, hit me with your best shot. I got time today. Feeling like a matador with that Red Bull. Oh yeah. No, you can't stop me. I'm running my own play. For the game win, I came to pin anything that gets in my way. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Been here, we done that. We done that. You all know what we came for. You all know what we came for. We been here, we done that. We done that. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. I'm in the game like EA. Been in my prime since pre-K. Shooting my shot from long range, going over heads like a toupee. Treat every day like payday. Y'all been living so mundane. My work week is Sunday to oh wait, that's every day. Putting in overtime, punching the clock, I'ma get what's mine. While everyone's sleeping, I'm living my dreams. I got a coin that's so divine. Lord, take the wheel like 10 and 2. I'm losing energy, I'm overdue. I've been on the top ropes, hitting my pros. Watch me hit the power moves. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Been here, done that. You all know what we came for. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy. Been here, we done that. We done that. You all know what we came for. You all know what we came for. We been here, we done that. We done that. Energy, energy, energy. I need that energy, energy.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official broadcast communication partner of the Call of Duty League. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Fuel Marquee Bench. We got to give a huge shout out to the Røkkr fans who are doing a watch party in Eagan, Minnesota. We've been told they have a sold-out showing here for this very match. Jay, look at the setup that they got.
We love that.
They're looking like
That's a full-on theater.
This is great.
Yeah, they're on full-on theater. They're watching everything in HD. This is beautiful.
This is delightful. They are looking at that bad boy in full HD quality. They're catching everything in 4K. You love to see it. But big shout out to Minnesota. They're always doing awesome watch parties like that. And they just watched their boys, Jay, absolutely clean house there in that last Tuscan Search Destroy. It does not get much better than that. I'm not sure about First Bloods, but I know that Minnesota was absolutely rolling in that category as well. But now we got to focus our attention here into this next Tuscan Control. Walk me through it, buddy. Let me know, where do both teams stand, and where do you see this one going?
Yeah, so yesterday, OpTic played this map versus London, and they got destroyed. The only round that they won was one defense. They ended up getting outslayed tremendously. The only player positive was going to be Scump. And then on the opposite side for Minnesota, the only time that they played this map was versus New York at the Kickoff Classic, and they ended up getting 3-0 there. Not a ton of slaying presence there as well. So it's all just going to come down to, between these two teams, who is going to be hot, which guns are going to be hot. Because Shotzzy, he's our Game Fuel featured player. So far in that map number 1, he was really the tone setter. Look at him to do the same here.
Yeah, without a doubt, OpTic Texas will start things off on the attacking side, as they will be given full access over at that A objective. You notice for Røkkr, not valuing much about that at all, Jay. An interesting strategy for Minnesota. They throw one player at it in Priestahh, maybe a few excess shots coming in from Standy, but it may come back to bite them, considering the fact that Shotzzy is now inside of their base. OpTic look primed and ready to grab that A objective. Shotzzy finally gets taken down, but what do you make out of that from Røkkr?
Yeah, I would like to see Minnesota Røkkr contest the air. At least throw a couple lives off the rip. Just don't give it freely up to OpTic, because now they're going to have 2 minutes and basically 30 seconds to work this B point up 4 lives. You see number 7 on your mini-map, though, Mr. MajorManiak. He's going to have a huge engagement here versus Shotzzy, able to take him down. So he's going to be that person blocking the spawns, forcing all of OpTic to continuously spawn at pallet.
Yeah, a great situation here for Major, and OpTic will be aware of that. Quickly on the flank are going to be 2 players, as it's all going to be on the Dashy. He makes quick work of both Priestahh and Standy, so they've got 1 player still in behind enemy lines. Well, Dashy hopes that his teammates can win a few of the fights toward the front, and they will do exactly that. OpTic now with the chance for the break, but attached on the other side, takes down 3 of them. Some big plays coming through from Dylan Price, ruining all of the plays that Texas had worked so hard to try and make happen. Back to the drawing board, go OpTic Texas.
And now you see Minnesota starting to be super aggressive towards the middle of the map, just trying to create layers that these OpTic players have to check every corner, don't allow anything to happen. But Standy finds 2, almost finds the 3rd. But Scump and Dashy come out on top in the trade, so now they're gonna have P5 control. They just have to try to break their way through plat.
Much easier said than done. We'll see what OpTic can do. The early trades being won by Røkkr, all because of Priestahh's play. Once more, it is spoiled again. Røkkr, as we said, off the rip, just allow for that A capture to go Texas's way. Again, they're preferred for it. They're expected to take it, and they do. Røkkr have been so focused on this setup, and so far, it has looked absolutely stellar. No real dents made from the Texas side yet. A Scump will look to change that. 1 to 2 more good pushes at this. So Shotzzy has made his way through, and Scump will look to try to join alongside of him. So Scump rather does end up getting traded out. Shotzzy gets punched in the face there from Priestahh. B-Dog has got some words, but now it's iLLeY's turn to try and make a flank happen. Dashy is still here. He gets found out, and iLLeY doing everything he can to apply some pressure from the backside. As Standy gets taken down, Texas finally a chance to see the point. Scump and Shotzzy, the Bash brothers, it would appear right now, doing a great job to bruise their way in toward this point. Standy doing everything he can to try and prevent it, though. 22 seconds is where the clock will stop for the time. A solid setup right now for Texas, all spread out here throughout this B objective, but Standy falls. That point continues to tick, but Shotzzy drops. It's all on to Dashy now. A big play, but he'll take him down. Minnesota now on 4 lives.
They have one good push. Minnesota just have to stay alive for 10 seconds. They have to watch these crosses. Unfortunately, iLLeY's going to open up with that first blood. Dashy challenges Standy back alley. 5 seconds left. OpTic have to get on the point.
They have to get on the point. A 2 versus 8. Attach and Standy. It comes down to them. The clock will stop for the time. They're both alive, though. Trying to pick them apart as Standy gets taken down. It's all on to Attach. A 1v7, but Texas will finally get their chance, and they will strike in the opening attacking round.
And that's tremendous work from OpTic, especially iLLeY. The fact that he was able to stay alive on the backside the entire time, or for such a long time, it eventually allows his teammates to push out through plat, win a couple of these gunfights, and just keep the live count in their favor. Eventually, Minnesota, they run out of spawns. They had one good push to hold for 10 seconds. But when you give up that 8 point as easily as they did, OpTic had so much time to work that 1B point, they get the job done.
Good opener there for OpTic Texas as they will maybe try a similar strategy. You saw Dashy get picked early. OpTic Texas essentially doing the exact same thing here, Jay. I mean, they'll look to try and get a few of these kills, but you can tell they're not really interested in trying to stop that A capture point from going down. Mimicking the exact same thing we saw from Minnesota.
But at least they're keeping the min-map presence. They're not allowing anyone to sneak through their base, because that's what Shotzzy was able to do the last go-around. Runs right through middle and was able to cause havoc in their spawn. So now, only going to be down 1 life with 2 minutes left. OpTic on the defense. You see all of Minnesota, they're trying to attack out through P5, trying to take control of plat. There's going to be a couple OpTic players trying to shut them down. Standy opens up with the first blood. They can find a second kill. This could be the opening Minnesota we're looking for.
Oh, and Scump not able to get away. He tried to jump down from the ladder, but MajorManiak is there to take him down. How about the shots from Attach? Up close and personal in the face of iLLeY, as that's going to be 5 in a row now for MajorManiak, a 7-team streak. As that point will look to try and roll. OpTic have only got 3 kills so far in this round, and that will be how we close it out. Only 3 kills on the side for OpTic Texas. And my goodness, OpTic reply with a great first round. Røkkr one-up them this time as one of the best attacking rounds that we have seen all year. 1-1.
They just made that one look easy. Once they found those first 2 kills, once MajorManiak climbs up to top church, finds that second kill, they find the third as well, and then they just stack the point. That's one thing that really frustrated me yesterday watching NYSL, is that they got 3-4 dead, and they just would not stack. They would still play the kills. Right there, Minnesota, they said, hey, we can get the job done if we all just sit on the point. And that was such a well-executed offensive round for the Minnesota Røkkr.
I mean, you can just tell, man, the minds are moving right now for both of these teams, and Shotzzy's there to spoil the entirety of the party, taking down 2 off the rip and maybe having a third. The quickest reactions on Tuscan, but eventually gets silenced, and really that's just damage control. That's just your SMG player trying to make Røkkr have a few headaches. And they'll do exactly that. Already inside of church do Scump and Shotzzy go. That dynamic duo with those MP40s already causing some issues for Minnesota. A little bit late there to the point as Standy tries to flank to halt that push. But once again, it is that A point capture. 3 for 3 so far throughout our opening rounds. And with 2 minutes on the clock, we'll see what OpTic Texas can do.
They do have plat control right now, so if you're Minnesota, you kind of have to turtle up. You do not want to drop everyone at the same time. But when Attach and MajorManiak are shooting like that, they're able to find 2. So now they force OpTic to slow down, try to work their way through plat. Standy gonna be sitting in towards top church, just trying to watch the flank. All out attack coming in from the top side. First player gonna be here is gonna be MajorManiak. He takes down 1. Eventually the trade should come about, but Minnesota coming out on top.
And it felt right there, just an out of sync type of push there for Texas. Constant 1v1s, constant pressure coming in at opposite times, but Scump will pick up from where the rest of the team leaves off, as that'll be 3, nearly makes it 4. And that will break things open for OpTic. Like we said, Scump, he's able to stay alive. He's the last player, but he makes all of the difference. Standy on that overextending flank is able to halt the push once more. Dashy will make it toward the backside of the tank. Look to make life difficult there for Minnesota. And that's a great sequence there from Attach. He and Priestahh combined for 3. And with a minute left, we'll see if Texas can do some work here off of spawn. And already pressured, as well as Priestahh. Now it's going to make it 5 in a row for him. Everybody's going on sprees.
And this is what's so scary, because every time OpTic go 3 to 4 dead, Minnesota are just taking map control. Attach, trying to hold down Plat. Unfortunately, he's going to lose this gunfight, but they have just caused OpTic to waste so much time of just basically trying to get out of their spawn. So now with 35 seconds left, they do find 2 kills. They could potentially take control of Plat here. Number 8 in Priestahh puts himself in a great spot to at least take down one, slows down the push. Scump and iLLeY are going to be the last 2 players farthest pushed up for OpTic. This is basically their last push, and Minnesota shut it down.
Down heavily in lives, OpTic. We'll see what they look to do based off of that. 5 versus 12 for the moment, and Røkkr look good to hold this. OpTic will deem to go ahead and allow for this one to sit, potentially. They'll try and tease it for the moment. Actually looking for the opening pick, because they're down to just 4 lives. iLLeY back to the spawn he goes, and yeah, Røkkr will take it. And that'll be our first defensive round. Somewhat untypical here on Tuscan. Like we said, the amount of dominance that we've seen on the attacking side has been unbelievable. But Røkkr are finally able to regain. And as you said, partner, despite a few great moments for Texas, Røkkr are able to shut them down each and every single time. Constant big team fight victories. And we'll see if Minnesota can close them out in 4, or if we've got a round 5 on our hands.
So here we go. This time Minnesota, they're going to switch it up. They're just going to commit towards the speed point. So if you're Shotzzy, you just have to try to slow down. But the comms are going to come in. Those players at A are going to give the call out to Shotzzy that, hey, their attack can be right off the rip. We have to try to shut down this push. And this either can make or break your round if you're Minnesota, as 3 players are going to drop. Now you have to hit the rotations over towards A, which costs you a little bit of time.
Priestahh, maybe the only positive of that entire push is the fact that he's at least able to get behind the opponents. We'll see what he can do with this, because the rest of his teammates are just getting plain up slayed out.
Yeah.
Only 1 kill so far here for Røkkr, as they'll be able to add at least another one onto it. Standy from not just close range, but long range as well. Takes iLLeY's head clean off, and with that, the Røkkr now able to finally siphon their way inside of B. And they've got some great setups prepared. Scump and Shotzzy combined for 2. Attach having to try and stay alive, but it's Standy on the flank. Standy can make all the difference. A current 2 versus 3, but what can they do? What can they do with it? Attach wins it. Standy for the other. A big 1v1 onto the point. Now make it a 2v1 as the SMGs from Røkkr staying together. They hold the line, and OpTic begin to struggle. Still in the back of their base. A total flip-flop so far here in this round. And Attach and Standy can do no wrong. 8 combined from these 2. Standy finally goes down, but Attach will not. Can he get some streaks? Yes, he will.
Oh, my.
Yes, he will. Attach staying alive. That A point will continue to roll for Røkkr, but they have got more than enough progress made, not just in terms of lives, but at that B point. How about Attach? How about Standy? Excellent plays there from Minnesota.
Yeah, at the end of that gunfire right there, you saw Attach basically shooting air. He was like, give me him, put him all on my screen, I'm gonna kill them all. But unfortunately, he does get taken down. Minnesota do capture that A point though, so now they have a 2 live advantage. They have 1 second completed at B with 1:15 to work with. You see Minnesota, no one's trying to do too much. They're just waiting for their teams to get pushed up on the map. Shotzzy, our game view feature player, able to find a 2-piece in towards Church, so this is gonna slow down this push from Attach. As they're trying to attack towards that top plat area, you see number 2 in Shotzzy just playing spoiler in the middle of the map.
He could be a problem as well. He easily could flank this, and yep, he gets the call. Now's the time to flank. Shotzzy does get found out. The great awareness there for MajorManiak, as they might look to invest a streak, and yes, the strafing run is in, and believe it or not, it actually does take down an enemy without taking out your own teammate. Yes, it does work. And Minnesota, we'll see what they can do off of it. Shotzzy getting his chance once more on the flank as the collapse is in. OpTic Texas hold them off, and Shotzzy gets the call to push out the spawns.
Shotzzy's gonna be super aggro. If you are Minnesota, you have the live advantage. You know that you can no longer basically win this round. You just want to make sure you secure that defense going into this round number 5. But that was a great hold from OpTic. The fact that they were able to bounce back into that defensive hold on towards B kind of looked like it was getting scary. Attach and Standy were just doing whatever they wanted on that point. They were able to earn some kill streaks, but OpTic were able to stop the bleeding, take control of top plat, keep control of the map, which eventually closes out the round. Now we're going to a defense, and I'm pretty sure, if my math is correct, Minnesota have defense.
Alrighty, I'll hold you to it, Jay. I'll hold you to it. But like you said, man, just impressive stuff, really. from OpTic Texas, as you mentioned it, right? For them to be able to hold on despite the streaks that attack was going on, despite the streaks that we saw Standy going on. They also bring in that strafing run as well, which did get a kill successfully. But with that in mind, OpTic are able to hold, and now we've got ourselves a round 5, a huge map for both of these teams. And it is going to be OpTic Texas on the attack. Scump.
Oh, I like this play.
Oh, they're going to run right into B. They're running right into B.
This is beautiful out of OpTic. They go right up the middle of the map, right through bottom church, which completely catches the players on Minnesota off guard. So now you have 2 players on the point. The first segment is going to be here. They just have to try to keep track of where Standy is going to be on the map. He's going to take some shots, give up his positioning, but so far that was a good startup for OpTic. It's probably not going to work out as Standy does find 2 towards plat, but that was just a beautiful read from them off the break.
And if you really think about it, though, based off of tick progression, I mean, what? Scump and Shotzzy do the exact same thing from an objective standpoint that Standy and Attached did off of the sprees that they were able to commit with, especially when it comes down to that B objective. So the one thing can be, while minute, is quite big in the overall scale of things. This MajorManiak, he and Priestahh combined for 2. Standy's still on that spree that he earned based off of that last round. And continuing with it, Røkkr did not want to give this point up for free. They realized how much that tick over at B could mean. They want to continue to contest for this, but take a look at Standy on the flank, takes down 1, and Dashy also having a few more players run right into his line of sight, as that could have been another. Glide bomb earns, as well as the strafe. Some excellent plays there from the sophomore himself. Dashy on the other side is hitting shots from range. 3 ticks in total, but they've got to get this third one over at A, and it looks as if they will. A minute added to the clock, and we'll see what Texas can do. Down a few lives, but can it be another attack here in the later stages from Texas?
Shotzzy trying to do everything he can from top church. As you see the push coming from OpTic. Trying to hit through church, trying to flank around the backside. MajorManiak a huge one-on-one onto iLLeY, as Priestahh wins a huge one as well towards that plat side. Last player on this side of the map is going to be Shotzzy. He takes that one, but immediately traded, and that's going to be an answer for Minnesota. So now this is going to allow them to get some map control. Priesthah's in a great problem to cause some havoc.
Oh, it's up. Nearly had it. Thought the Priestahh was there. Holds the ADS, but Priestahh will walk away with the fight. Another opportunity for Texas to draw this one up. They've got 2 players coming in from the backside of church from that field position, while 2 currently sit inside of green. OpTic makes the call, Attached with the first blood, but iLLeY runs right through the setup. And Standy a little bit slow on the reaction. He's going to get dropped as well. Shotzzy able to find the second. Can it be the third? Another big 1v1 going down. Shotzzy jumps out, and iLLeY's there to pick up right from where he left off. The
Stack
Empire
point.
duo making the plays, and now they'll stack the point. They'll look to stack the point. Can Røkkr get here? Røkkr got to do something. They've at least got to diminish this push, but they will not be able to do it. Shotzzy and iLLeY going huge in the round 5. They make the call. They play off of each other, and because of that teamwork, it gives OpTic Texas another round, the attacking round, and the round that will seal the deal here in this game number 3.
OpTic, they just performed out of their minds that last round. Right off the rip, their initial push was beautiful. The fact that you sent a couple players to go through bottom church to get towards that beat point, get that early first segment, that was huge as we go later throughout the round, because eventually they're able to capture this 8 point. But once Scump finds that 2-piece, they know we have 3 dead. And on the opposite side for Minnesota, when Standy was flanking that 8 point, he actually went on a 7 spree. He had full streaks to work with in his back pocket. But when Scump was able to push up that back alley, he was able to take down the player in Standy, which shuts down the streaks from coming in. At that point, it's 3 dead. Attached last player to come through bottom church. You just have to kill him, stack the point, you win the game. Beautiful adjustments coming in from OpTic. It kind of looked like it was going to get scary because Minnesota, they were slaying, they were picking up the kill streaks, they were doing exactly what they needed to do to shut down every single attempt that OpTic were trying to go towards B. But that one push from such great submachine gun players are able to close it out for OpTic. Now go up 2-1.
Yeah, man. I think at some point we'll have to take a look again at that final play from Shotzzy and iLLeY. I mean, their ability to maneuver, and that just is from the experience that these guys have together, right? They joined alongside each other in MW, rookies together. They've been through it all, and now they find themselves on the biggest brand in COD. They make the plays in that round 5, and now they promote the team that they've joined, right? They've got those green colors, and they are doing it in the brightest of stages. Some excellent plays for them down the stretch. But Stud, walk me through what was an unbelievable, a crazy and offensive heavy Tuscan control.
Yeah, I can't even believe it was so offensive heavy because we saw 3 offensive wins, 2 coming in from OpTic. The fact that they were on the defensive side, you see right here in these clips, they're just going back and forth. But that initial tick on that B point is what allows them to eventually get that stack to close out the map. Right here, 12 to 15. You see Shotzzy, he was able to find this kill onto Priestahh. And now he just stays alive, waiting for his teammates to make a play. This eventually allows Scump to push through the back alley. He finds that kill and then finds a second onto Standy as well. Once you take down Standy, no streaks can be available. No one is going to call the streaks. You just have to stack this point. That's exactly what OpTic do. By the time Standy spawns up, he calls in a glide bomb, but it's too late. OpTic were able to clutch up in the final moments.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice. I mean, what, just a few seconds later, Standy doesn't drop. That glide bomb comes in, and who knows? Everything could have been different. And like we said, some excellent plays, not just from Shotzzy. It was really a good team effort toward the stretch, as we cannot, state it lightly. Scump with a big 2-piece as well. An all-out team effort and a great closing round there for OpTic Texas. I mean, what has been a very one-sided series in terms of whoever is winning maps. They've been dominant, but in that control, the exact opposite. We see that final round, and it goes the distance. Incredible stuff there on the Tuscan control. But Jay, now we got to focus ourselves in toward this next Berlin hardpoint. I mean, what, so far in regards to the respawns, it has been great from the OpTic side. How do you expect, quick little note before we go to commercial break, how do you feel about Røkkr here on Berlin?
I'm really confident for Røkkr, as long as they're rotating, because London, we saw what they were able to do versus OpTic yesterday. OpTic didn't rotate, they beat it by 100. Minnesota, do the same thing, you force game 5.
You heard the man. Alrighty, folks, make sure if you haven't done so already, utilize that hashtag CDL 2022. Let your friends know it's the final match of opening weekend, and it could be the final map as well. We'll be with you in just a moment. When we come back after the break, it's time for Berlin Hardpoint. Oh boy, there is just something about that song that gets me excited. Yes, Blake, you got your wish, but now it's time to talk about the Ant-Man. It's time to talk about Shotzzy, our Game Fuel featured player stud. This guy has been an absolute menace. As we take a look at the highlights that he has provided us with, it just makes you happy, right? If you're an OpTic fan, because hey, you don't have to face off against this guy anymore. Now he is in green, now he's on your roster, and boy, has he had himself a series.
Yeah, he's the tone setter for the green wall, man. When he's playing so fast, picking up kills left and right, like his initial hard point was beautiful. And then you go into that control, just him putting on so much pressure towards the middle of the map. You saw that Minnesota was starting to get frustrated, especially when they were coming off spawn, because Shotzzy, he was always trying to time out that flank. And when you're having a guy that's playing as confident as him, go into this next map, you're gonna need him to continue that strength, because we saw them yesterday versus London. It was not great from every single player. Every single player was negative. And then they also were not doing the right things. They weren't doing the fundamentals. Going into today, going into this map, you have to make sure that you're rotating. We saw yesterday they were rotating towards that P2, immediately broken. They get towards the P3, and it's immediately broken. You have to make sure you're holding your setups exactly the way that you were doing map 1.
And when it comes down to it, right, one guy who can be the player to make those rotations, or at the very least, shut down the rotations from the opposite side, can be a player like Shotzzy. Let's go and see how Twitter's reacting. We got Connor saying sometimes Shotzzy gets going and you just think, how is anyone supposed to stop that guy? I couldn't agree more with you, Connor. It's a very valid statement there, Jay. You just don't know how to stop that guy sometimes.
You definitely don't, man. But the only way to stop it, yeah, you might have to put your controller down, or if you're not matching the aggression when you're gunfights, I'm looking at Standy to really try to shut him down, because they both basically play at the same exact pace.
Yeah.
They have some insane movement between both of those great submachine gun players, and I feel like whoever wins the battle here, especially when you're rotating over towards that P2, every engagement is close range. I feel like that's going to be the team that walks away with the map.
Well, here we go. Like we said, what could be the final map here of opening weekend and our final match. Here we go into Berlin. Hardpoint, OpTic Texas with the preferred spawns off the start, as they'll be able to get to P1 early. An unfortunate teammate takes down Standy, which is not the way that you want to start this one off. If you're Røkkr, last player who's even past the 50-yard line is going to be attached. A few nice kills to the middle side of the map are granted there for attached and Standy, but it has been 15 unanswered so far here from OpTic.
Yeah, OpTic putting a lot of pressure into his trains as well. They're just trying to not allow Minnesota to try to get into this, as MajorManiak's able to find 3. Fortunately, he is going to get traded by Scump, but good job by OpTic. Now it's all about thinking about the rotation. Now you have 3 players. They have the man advantage, already seeing the adjustments from yesterday.
Yeah, and you just start thinking from the Røkkr side, right? You decide to invest in that play, and now with the rotations, they are going to have somewhat of a close setup right here inside a library. The first player who can make all the difference is going to be Scump. He comes through, takes down Priestahh. iLLeY, meanwhile, is at least able to make it a 2-for-1 trade. He jumps in toward the back door, gets taken down. And so with that, right now for OpTic, you do find yourself with the man advantage in regards to the way that this team fight is about to round up. 38 valuable seconds still inside a library, and Priestahh, he's ready to hunt. Texas looking for the timing, and with that first pick, it looks good for OpTic to break on in. The current 4 versus 2. Last player alive is going to be Standy, and he gets dropped as well. OpTic break in at library.
And that's great work from OpTic. They're able to get in with about 25 seconds left, and now they have the rotations. We're going to have a huge battle between iLLeY and Attach, and iLLeY's going to be able to win it. That's such a big gunfight for this P3, because it can be the money hill. You can hold this for a full 60 as long as you shut down the initial push from street and towards fire. But still, a lot of Texas players pushed up towards the middle of the map. Shotzzy, our game fuel feature player, on a 4 spree, potentially working towards some kill streaks.
Yeah, at the very least, he's also getting information, right? He is getting information from his teammates who drop. He's at 5 in a row. He might put Attach on skates. Not able to stay alive, but at the very least, he applies so much work toward that Røkkr end. As Minnesota, right to the front, they take advantage of what was somewhat of a shaky OpTic setup, but they still are going to have those close spawns. That's the reason why here on Berlin, we talk about this being the money hill, not just because of where the hill is positioned, but also because of how sticky those spawns can be. Still working to find Dashy, the one player who stays up. He's able to work alongside of his teammates, and despite a great push from Minnesota, they're going to have to back on up and allow for Texas to grab the final 15.
Yeah, that's just good work from Dashy to just secure those spawns for his team, to allow them to get this remaining 30 seconds on this hard point to give them a 40-point lead. Now off the rotation, Minnesota are going to be set up, but you see iLLeY and his teammate in Scump starting to work their way through back warehouse. Shotzzy All you have to do is just try to stay alive here. Just wait for your teammates to set up on this pinch. As Priestahh is gonna get spotted. A couple shots coming in. OpTic coming from multiple different angles. Are Minnesota gonna be ready for it?
And Shotzzy at least plays as the bait. He jumps out, allows for his teammates to have a little bit more of an easier time at kills. Scump takes down
clean.
2, does get dropped in the end. And Minnesota will still stay close toward the hill. Nice shots from range out of attach. Known as a flex player and shown us why that's exactly the case. Can do it with both weapons, but OpTic still holding in from the front side. Shotzzy applies once more. Some great pressure toward the front. That's going to be now 3 in a row again for Shotzzy. Now sits at 12 and 8. OpTic Texas now inching ever closer toward that 100-second mark as they've doubled the score of Minnesota. And now we head toward our final hard point here, the first set of rotations, and it could be a very mixy one at that.
So far, OpTic, they have been playing this game flawlessly. Their rotations, even if they're not getting there early, they're still initiating the break. Everyone's getting the kill at the right time, and they're flipping the spawns, not even allowing Minnesota to get time even when they have the spawn. So now we find ourselves on P5 broken hardpoint. Trades are going back and forth. MajorManiak trying to stay alive towards top 3. Scump does spot him, though, trying to commit towards this gunfight. Major's going to win it. So for the time being, Minnesota have control of this P5 hardpoint, but with 35 seconds left, OpTic are all over the spawns for the next one.
Yeah, all over the spawns are OpTic Texas.
Until now.
MajorManiak now finds 6. That's going to be 6 in a row for him. Like you said, the pendulum continues to swing in regards to those, not just a strafe, but a glide bomb earned here from MajorManiak. Excellent plays for him, and also, look at that, hops in the objective, the exact type of player that you want to have on your team. And how great was MajorManiak in that series versus New York? A lot of questions on his play style, people talking how he's a little bit too slow of a player, but in hardpoint so far throughout Vanguard, he has been a problem, and that's the reason why Røkkr not just have spawns, but now are back in this game, Jay.
And just pay attention to the positioning of Shotzzy as he was able to find that kill towards backfire. He knows that one player is also coming off spawn. He's still spawn killing that one individual in MajorManiak, which eventually should allow his teammates to set up on this pinch, trying to work his way through the window. Movement is on fleek. Our Game Fuel feature player is here to play on another 4th streak.
My goodness, look like Spider-Man right there. Just start right in toward the window.
Nice.
And now he's got another chance at a kill. I was going to say not just Ant-Man, but also Spider-Man. Some great plays, but it's the King on the other side. Off with their head, says King Scump. And now he jumps in from the other window, takes attach down as well. My goodness, the SMGs from OpTic are feeling themselves right now in the office, and they're also prepared for that next rotation. Røkkr all spawning in toward backfire. OpTic are there to read him, and Scump could be sitting on another spree. Finally gets taken down, and Standy, the one saving grace in an early break, he gets dropped.
And Dashy's able to find 2 kills in the point. So that's huge. It's going to slow down this pressure from Minnesota as MajorManiak trying to go into the point. But OpTic still have control right now of P2. Spawns for them are still coming in back warehouse. You see all of Minnesota starting to flood through, but Shotzzy's going to be here. Able to take down the first. Spawns are still going to be there for Minnesota. 30 seconds left. If you're Minnesota, you cannot allow OpTic to run away with all this time here, but you have to keep in mind, you need that full 60 going into P3.
Yeah, you can't afford to push this one too hard, right? Given the fact that you've got that one for next. Some great shots. They're coming in from Dashy. This feels like this gun in particular is made for him in a map where he can absolutely show off his skill. But look at that score. Down by 70 points. Røkkr are going to have to hold this one flawlessly. It's going to have to be a solid 60. As Standy is at least making his teammates' jobs who are in the hill that much more easy. OpTic finally take them down. And now we'll see how they look to try and attack this. Let's see what the break looks like. Sending everybody through fire, Jay.
And I'm pretty sure Dashy was able to at least win one gunfight towards the street. Now he's just staying alive, stalling time for Standy. He's at least able to allow MajorManiak to spawn on him, but OpTic break in. Now 35 seconds. If you're Minnesota, you have to try to get in quickly. You cannot let this game get out of hand. Shotzzy trying to walk through the front door. Shotzzy and Scump, the combined duo, getting the job done, winning a majority of these gunfights with 20 seconds left. If you're Minnesota, you have to start thinking about that rotation because OpTic, they're so far ahead of this game right now. Minnesota are just continuously playing from the back foot.
And that was just great plays. It was great plays from the players in the rotation. iLLeY gets out of dodge, and by that play, by him going through middle and by OpTic looking the directions that they were, it ends up spawning Minnesota in the top left of your map. And once more, as we called it, Texas with preferred spawns now here at Trains. As the glide bomb comes in, it at least gains information, but that's all it is. It's a glorified UAV based off the way that it comes on in. MajorManiak, after calling in the streak, he gets taken down. The first wave of Røkkr players are still doing what they can. They've broken on in the hard point, and now they've got spawns themselves. Shotzzy may have found his lane. He may have found his lane. He takes down one in Standy. A second opportunity, but MajorManiak is there to cut him down. A 50-point game, and once more Røkkr staring at a vacant hill of which they just cannot seem to get much time on. Only 4 seconds away from OpTic getting to that 200-point mark. Røkkr still fighting for every single second left.
196 to 152. 8 seconds remaining on this hard point, but it's all about setting up for this P5 broken. You cannot allow MajorManiak to take control of top 3 once again. That's what allowed him to pick up those streaks to get them right back into this game. Now only down 40 points. Spawn still coming in from Minnesota from that warehouse side. But if you're OpTic, you just want to make sure you're playing the kills. You do not want to allow these guys to potentially get it clean 4 dead. You're not really worried about the time here, especially on a P5 hard point.
Yeah, you're definitely not. But Minnesota, you'll take these seconds as long as you can get them a nice few. Go down in the feed there for Røkkr, and they will look to soak up this time. OpTic with a sense of urgency. Jump right in here from the train station, but MajorManiak, they're jumping right into the jaws of him, as that'll be one. Nearly makes it a second, but the trade will be there from Standy, and the points will continue here from Minnesota. Job well done at P5, but it just feels like the story that has been the same throughout this entirety of the Berlin has been OpTic with the spawns. Standy trying to be a thorn in the side here at the flank. Scump with the biggest of plays. Standy somehow dodges the nade. Stays alive with 20 HP despite the grenade going off right next to him. OpTic crossed the double sentry mark, and now it's Standy's turn to try to hop on into this one. He gets dropped. Scump and Shotzzy yet again combined for 3. And Priestahh left to try and make a play as he'll jump in toward Plat. A big job to do. Finds one, but overall it's the trades continuing to favor Texas.
And OpTic, 35 seconds still on this hard point. They can close it out here as Dashy finds 3 in the feed. You see Minnesota, they know we have to contest this. We cannot give up all this time or the game's basically over. OpTic are holding this down to the T though, as Standy finds 1, Standy finds 2. Last player here is going to be iLLeY. He's going to get taken down. So now with 20 seconds left, if you're OpTic, chalk it. You have to start thinking about that rotation. There's going to be 2 players already here. You have Standy trying to cause some problems, able to catch off 1. Looks for the second as well onto Scump, takes him down, and now they win the rotation. This is starting to get crazy.
What a play from Standy. It's a race toward library, and somehow, despite not having the numbers for Røkkr, they win the rotation after contesting for what they had to at gold. Shotzzy still left up to try and go big. It's a 2-for-2 trade off the start. Standy's still alive. It's all going to be on to him once more. Røkkr once more call on their golden boy, the Minnesota Miracle Man, as he'll look to stay alive. That's going to be 6. Nearly makes it 7. OpTic less than 20. Make it 15 seconds away from walking away with their first win, but Røkkr not going down without a fight. It's a 2-versus-2 team fight. Still left inside of the hill. OpTic can win it here. Røkkr will have to think about the rotation. Dashy putting in some shots from the back, but 15 seconds left. They can still win it. They can still win it, but Dashy, he can only stare at the hill. They can win it off the tick. Røkkr have delayed for long enough, and take a look at who has the spawns. 8 more seconds. OpTic will grab the scrap. 6 more points away, but Minnesota, as we said, they have got spawns for next, Jay.
Minnesota are here. They are here. They just have to hold this initial push. You see a couple players from OpTic hitting through the street, hitting through fire. They shut down both players on the fire side. Last player here is going to be Scump. 244 to 234. Almost a tie game. Minnesota just have to hold.
Can iLLeY make the play? No, he gets taken down. Scump toward the street. He's waiting for the timing, but that's 3 in a row. It's 3 in a row for Minnesota. Dashy doing everything he can. He gets dropped as well. Are Minnesota going to do this? Are they going to force the map 5? And yes, they will. What an unbelievable stretch in that hard point. Røkkr were down. We talk about the rotation, the amount of coordination that just took from Minnesota to force the game 5 is unbelievable. Opening weekend, Vanguard itself continues to shock us. It continues to leave us in awe. And Jay, I barely got a voice after that.
I'm telling you, man, this series, every single series that we've gotten into has been insane. The fact that Minnesota, they were basically down 60 points going into that P4 hardpoint. They didn't get a good chunk of time there, but they really dominated P5. And if you're OpTic, you cannot allow them to get that much time to get back into this game because they do have the rotations over towards P1. Eventually, Minnesota were able to break in towards the very end of that with about 25 to 30 seconds left. And then Standy, he goes so big off the rotation to find not one, but 2 kills. Once he finds that 2, it eventually allows his teammates to get into the play. Trades are going back and forth, but Minnesota were thinking big picture. We're just going to try to contest this down to the T to not allow OpTic to close it out on this hard point. They kept the spawns for P3, and it worked out as their favor as they shut down that one push at the very end of the game to force it to that game 5. I can't believe it, man. This is insane.
This is absolutely wild. I mean, it's going to take a huge clip. I mean, it's basically 3 hard points in a row, right? Where we're talking about Standy, we're talking about the Røkkr. OpTic, they felt like they had it. I mean, it felt like through the entirety of that set of rotations, you could just tell from the OpTic side, they felt like they had that game in their hands. And right when they expect victory, Røkkr is there to steal the game. You can never count out this Minnesota team, and I've got to imagine that the folks at that watch party in Eagan, Minnesota are going wild right now in that theater. They have got to be tearing the house down after what was an unbelievable comeback in that Berlin hardpoint. Oh boy, Berlin continues to be a problem for OpTic Texas, but hey, for us just in general fans out there, you've got to love it. You've got to love the crazy performances that we have seen on this map. Jay, I don't know what to say, my friend. I don't know what to say. You better be getting on social media, Jay. You watching this better get on social media and let everybody know what is going down. Hashtag CDL 2022. Let everybody know the final match here of opening weekend and the final map of opening weekend is getting ready to go down. A crazy game-fueled Marquee match, but the story is not done. The final chapter will remain as we head toward Berlin Search and Destroy here for Game 5. Stay with us.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Fuel Marquee match. If you're just joining us, well, I'm glad you're here, but you just missed one of the crazier plays that we have seen so far here throughout Vanguard. Jay, some unbelievable plays there out of Standy. I was glued to my screen the entire time. He makes the clutch. He and Røkkr somehow, some way, now send us to a game number 5. It felt like, numerous times that OpTic Texas had this game in their hands. Yeah. But as social media will show us, you cannot let Standy pop off like that.
Yeah, it was all in the first half. Like the first half of the game, when the first rotation of hard points, OpTic were dominating. They were early on the rotations. They were winning a majority of those gunfights. But then when the second rotation came around and MajorManiak was able to go on that 7-3 on P5, that's when the guns started getting hot for Minnesota. They started slowly but surely turning up in the game. When they get to P4, they're down 40 points. They find themselves back at a P5, and they were able to get themselves right back into the game. OpTic had their rotations towards that P1, but Standy makes the play to close out that map. He finds a 3-piece into that site, and then eventually off the rotation, he finds another 2. That was just beautiful plays out of the young man, and such great awareness out of him to know in those crucial moments, this is what I need to do to win the game, and he got the job done then.
Incredible stuff there from aBeZy. I know social media has got to be rolling after that. This tweet coming in from Rage. He says, Game 5. Oh, brother. Hashtag OpTic Texas. And that's the thing, Jay. I mean, fans have been very critical, right, of their boys, of the green wall, talking about how, hey, this team at times can crumble in the big moments. We talked about it last year, right, when it came down to Cold War, just struggled at times getting into those finals. Never got the chance to be in that final, to be at least in the top 2. And with the way that series went yesterday, right, they go up 2-0 versus the London Royal Ravens. They get reverse swept, and they lose in a Game 5 round 11. I mean, speak to me, man. This guy's got to be some pressure on this OpTic team's shoulders, given everything, right? Given the offseason, given the franchises, and given these players another situation where they're expected to win, but yet a Game 5 is forced.
This is going to be tremendous pressure on OpTic because they were in control of that last map. And just based off of that map number 2, Minnesota, their chemistry and their teamwork is on point. Hopefully, OpTic, they can be quicker on the decision-making going into this Game 5.
Well, here we go. Into the final match, the final map here of opening weekend. This Game Fuel Marquee match has lived up to the hype and then some. But here we are into the opening round. OpTic Texas on the attack and attach. Could be in a prime position to ruin things, but no, it's Shotzzy jumping right through the door and seizing in his own opportunity, as now it's OpTic all the way in toward A. And with Shotzzy playing the way that he is, Priestahh, if he just fired a bullet, he would have got the information that he needed. First pick is in, now make it the second. Røkkr at an instant 2v4 disadvantage, and say goodbye to Standy.
Now left in the 1v4, it's pretty much impossible, and that was a great round from OpTic. A great toad setter, because right there, they started off slow into that round. They looked like they were going to take that bomb over toward that B site, but then they rat back as a team, find that first blood, and then immediately commit towards that A plant. That was the first time we've seen OpTic get the bomb down in 2 search and destroys. Great adjustment so far early into this game.
Yeah, right, exactly. It felt like on that Tuscan, they never really got the chance to do it. That was, something that you were understandably critical about, right? In that opening search and destroy, they were just not willing to get the objective down there on the Tuscan. When Shotzzy's going off the way that he is, it definitely makes getting that bomb down that much easier. An unfortunate snipe miss off the start from attach, but it's not going to be just Dylan Price who's got that bad boy out. It's also Dashy on the other end.
So now in the 4v4, look at the minimap as Scump is starting to be a little bit aggressive towards the middle of the map. They have no eyes on this A bomb. As Dashy still holding the speed cross, he does spot Priestahh. Not going to be able to line up the shot as attach does spot Shotzzy. Now that's going to back Shotzzy down from that side, and with 50 seconds left, Minnesota, they have to try to make a commitment here because OpTic, they're just drawing a lot of time off this round.
They're indeed not giving anything up. Dashy may have had an opportunity for that pick at Priestahh, but Dashy holding the angle that he is, it's definitely going to give Texas all the information that they need, saying, hey, it's quiet, a little bit too quiet. Standy tosses out the nade and finds the first blood there on to iLLeY. Not a whole lot of clearance yet, and without smokes, It could make things that much more difficult, but they seem to be finding the picks just fine. No smokes necessary. All on to Dashy now in the 1v4. Time ticking away. Misses the snipe, hits the railing, and back-to-back offenses we go. Great plays from Røkkr. Not a single player falls either.
That was good for Minnesota to just slowly work that A bomb because they still consistently kept these players in towards middle broken. MajorManiak was causing so many problems from that top 3 story that whenever OpTic were deciding to wrap back, they had 3 players or 2 players who were sitting on those middle steps. He was able to take down both, make it into a 4v1. Pretty much an impossible task to try to get done for the last player on the OpTic side. But Minnesota, they tied the game up at 1 apiece. Great adjustments, great play call coming in from them.
And great just aggression as well, right? In toward that A bomb site. Florida Mutineers showed us quick and early at the Kickoff Classic that bomb site could absolutely be utilized. Some nice shots off the rip from Standy, basically in the exact same position where he makes the play in the last game. He's got the glasses for it. He's quite familiar with the library. He's done his fair share of reading, and he very well may read Scump as well. The door opens, the creek is in, and Scump, around the corner we go, is able to take down the young gun, making the numbers for Texas that much more easy to deal with. But Priestahh, nice shots from range. Scump now left in a 1 versus 3. He's got some weapons of choice, but Priestahh makes him pay. Top 3. Røkkr now up around.
And that was the same exact thing that they did in the first search and destroy on Tuscan. Like, they were able to bounce back with a win. Make sure you just slow down the game, allow everyone to just basically cut off the entire map just to see how they want to play this map. But there, right there, Minnesota, they just match it with aggression. The aggression worked for them the first round. They do it on that B bomb. They get the first blood. They find the second as well. And then at that point, in the man advantage, you just have to play the trade. Priestahh hit some great shots to find the final 2.
Great angles being found from Røkkr, as now they'll have another opportunity here with the attack and attach. That had to be the shot off the rip. He was watching the cross. Some great reactions there out of a player who, well, you talk about quite often in regards to age. He just turned 25, and he's saying that his aim assist isn't nearly as good. A nice bait there from Standy, as he'll make everybody think that the push was going down over at B, when in reality, it's the A bomb site that's being attacked. Once OpTic realized that, they're thinking, hey, now we've only got 2 players left to deal with.
So now to 4v2. Dashy and Scump. Scump trying to approach through back alley, but with 25 seconds left. This is not going to be easy task to get done. And that round all comes down to the first blood onto attach. Once you take down that player on Shotzzy on the cross, I'm pretty sure it's the first time we've actually seen the cross snipe be hit as well. So great shot coming in from attach to open up that bomb site wide open. No hesitation coming in from Minnesota. Once they find that kill, they immediately work the bomb plant. They allow Standy to be the playmaker on the late flank. They're just making their S&D look beautiful. Just based off that map number 2, they're consistently making the adjustments mid-round and making it look easy.
Minnesota, number 3 team in Search and Destroy last year. Everybody outside of attach at a 1 KD.
Go
now
play
with the
B.
sniper in his hands. Got to be in a much more comfortable spot. Speaking of the sniper, Dashy getting all the information, as you call it, Jay. He gets the info and he tells the team, you know what? Now's the time to Planet B. The only player who does not cross his MajorManiak. He gets dealt with to start. Meanwhile, Dashy, he gets found out as well. OpTic with numbers and with the bomb planted. 38 seconds to work with if you're Minnesota. Priestahh in a precarious fight. Scump will win it top 3. And the man that we've been talking about a lot now in attach, gonna have to put the sniper away and do it the classic way. With the SMG, with the MP40. With the positioning of OpTic, it just does not look likely. He's just got so many barriers still to face off against, so many angles. He's going to have to try and challenge, and it will be Scump who cements the final kill.
And that's a great round from OpTic. No hesitation on the play call. Once Dashy spots 3 players cross towards that A bomb, you immediately go for that B plant. It kind of got a little scary, though, because Shotzzy, he works his way around the backside of that boathouse. And he goes towards lower docks. He almost gave away his life. I would have liked to just see him go in there for the plant. But once they find that kill, it basically secures the round. You have the players turn around, watch their back spawn, or at least watch the middle of the map. Easy round for OpTic. Quick adjustments.
See everybody getting vocal in the comms, which is great to see from the OpTic end. Lily and Dashy not having the greatest of games yet, but only down a round because of it. Minnesota Now valuing the objective is MajorManiak. We saw him do this a ton over on that Tuscan. The problem in the opening engagements is he'll drop iLLeY for the first blood. The nades are out. They're primed and ready. And Standy finds himself in a wonderful position as well. Major trying to get some info for him inside a middle. Meanwhile, Dashy looks to wrap around and make the play. Everybody right now hunting for visuals on the map. And as Røkkr plant down the bomb, Shotzzy with an unbelievable kill there on the Priestahh will bring us now to a 3v3. Standy was hanging out at the door the entire time, gets the worst of timing, and Dashy tries to hop on the defuse, but Attach will keep him honest. He backs up, and that's where Scump can seize the opportunity. A well-deserved round out of OpTic Texas, and they will hand Shotzzy to the objective, as now we will join ourselves at a 3-3 scoreline.
And that was just beautiful plays out of OpTic. They get first blooded right off the rip. Like MajorManiak, he's been doing that all series with his nades, but they make the proper adjustments. Shotzzy was able to hit some great shots on the Priest to even up the numbers, but then when he works through that bottom middle door, through that secret room, he's able to find that second kill. Our game field featured player is stepping up tremendously alongside Scump, who eventually found the last two to close out the round. In a 3v4 retake on A, you usually don't see that happen, but you have talented submachine guns who make plays happen. OpTic tie up the game.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the numbers, right? I mean, what, 12 and 6 combined right now from your SMGs, iLLeY and Dashy. A slower game, but they're happy to jump in the backpack throughout our first 6. And Shotzzy does gain some information, just great reaction. Toss out the shoulder. And because of that information, he will be able to get out, but slides on into the tank, and he will escape to the library. He's got his card, don't worry about it. Standy, meanwhile, he and Attach, with these doors blown off, it's going to make it that much more difficult. They're going to have to hunt for the picks. OpTic have set this up quite nicely inside a warehouse. iLLeY is able to find the first. Shotzzy there on the second. A solid setup for Texas as the time continues to tick away. That much more unlikely for Røkkr to secure it. And how about it? OpTic, an excellent attacking round. They get the bomb down, and they dominate from there, Jay.
Yeah, that's the key word. Get the bomb down. So far, the 2 rounds they've won on the offensive side, they have planted both times. No hesitation on the play calls. And when a player like Shotzzy is going to be your bomb carrier, you know he's going to be able to get in and out with his life. The fact that he was able to survive that first nade and then slide away to get back into P2 was beautiful, because by the time Minnesota were able to get to that bomb, there's only 20 seconds left. Basically an impossible task to get done for a 44 retake.
Dash gets the information. Gonna let the rest of the team know. But who crossed over at the A site? The nice shot through the wall. Standy is able to find the first one there on the Shotzzy. Keep in mind, player 3 on the minimap, iLLeY does pop dead silent, so he'll be in the midst of trying to make a flank while the rest of his teammates try to do the damage toward the front. Nobody yet from Røkkr to drop, but iLLeY will change that. The delayed flank will eventually work out 2 versus 3.
It's clutchable now, as the bomb is starting to get planted. One player's actually going to be pushed out towards Plat, and iLLeY, he's able to take down one. Dashy finds him as well, so now it's going to be a 1v1. MajorManiak, he knows exactly where he is.
iLLeY behind the column. iLLeY behind the column decides the challenge. What could have been a 2v4. Røkkr are able to hold on. Some amazing plays from iLLeY on the flank, but MajorManiak coming up clutch.
That duo of Dashy and iLLeY, they were able to clutch up a 2v4 earlier in their last series, but right there, they almost get the job done. MajorManiak, such great shots to find that first kill onto Dashy, but then he fully commits towards the gunfight onto iLLeY. That was probably the deciding round in this game for me so far, as we are going to be tied up at 4 apiece. Minnesota, they're going to have 3 players this time stacking over towards that A site.
Oh my goodness, 4 to 4 we go. An OpTic break on into B. Attach taking down Dashy to start, but iLLeY says, you know what? Let's just go and get this objective down. Let's focus on that. The problem being, quite a few players have cycled in through the streets. OpTic, a lot of forces were established inside a library. Shotzzy makes Attach Bay. iLLeY also shuts down MajorManiak, but Standy still alive into the 2 versus 2. Shotzzy jumping right on in through the bomb, decides to wait. But it's all up to Standy now, left to try and defend the bomb, and he gets dropped as well. OpTic Texas seeming to find life in the biggest of moments, winning a huge round as Shotzzy now reaching 11 kills in this game. And OpTic now find themselves not just on map point, but on series point as well.
OpTic making plays. Even though they ended up getting first blooded there, they said, hey, we've won 2 offensive rounds by just planting the bomb. Let's get it down and let's see what happens. Shotzzy was able to hold down P2, find a 2-piece as iLLeY found the 3rd. That was just great coordination coming in from OpTic. 1 round away from closing out this game and winning the series, as Dashy's going to give a couple callouts to these players approaching B. How fast are they going to be off the rotation?
iLLeY's hungry. iLLeY's hungry. Rounding the corner. He's confident as well. Does get dropped from MajorManiak, but he at least stops the plant from going down.
No, it's down.
Oh, it is going to go down. You're right. It does go down at that. Attach. Trying to challenge from the back. Is able to cut down 1. Minnesota with numbers. But Dashy, he hops on the defuse. Dashy's on the defuse. MajorManiak is there to cut him down. It's all onto the king. A 1v2. Can he hold off what could be another round 11 for OpTic Texas? Scump is searching. He's hunting, but it doesn't appear that he will find what he's looking for. Røkkr somehow, some way, will escape with this round victory. And in back-to-back days, OpTic Texas going again to a Game 5, Round 11. It does not get more intense. It does not get crazier than this, Jay. Opening weekend, our Game Fuel Marquee match. 1 round to decide it.
All the way to the very end. If Standy doesn't get that bomb planted, though, it's probably a totally different round. The fact that he was able to get it in before he dropped, that's what eventually allows Minnesota to just play the clock, play the time. But now we're going into a round 11. Minnesota on the attack. They're leaving bomb and spawn.
They did.
They're leaving bomb and spawn. They're giving the call as to how many players are approaching that A site. And this can cause problems because you already see that player in Standy is already close to that B bomb.
You lose a lot of visuals as well, but the Attach have to reference back and grab it. A huge mistake off the start for Minnesota. We'll see if it bites them in the end. Maybe some nerves coming out. And this round 11 is their first match, after all, here in Vanguard. But here we go. The plant halfway in. Standy watching over his teammate, but iLLeY, he can't seize the opportunity. He comes around the corner and sees 2, but Standy has got a fist prepared for him. A huge match to win, a huge moment to win, but all 3 members drop in just a matter of seconds. It's all on to the captain. It's all on to Scump. A huge 1v3, but Røkkr will take it in the end. Røkkr will hold on and prevent the Texas victory. You've got to be kidding me, Minnesota. They have done it again.
They just make the plays happen. Right there in that final round, OpTic looked like they were playing really scared. They had a player that was sitting a corner in towards A, but when your player that's watching the cross towards B bomb gives you a call out, they have already crossed to the site. You have to put multiple bodies there. The fact that they were able to get that bomb down, and then iLLeY, he made almost the greatest play that round to try to flank it through the middle of the map and get that 2-piece, but he gets punched by Standy and makes it a 3v4 situation. OpTic, their S&D woes continue. Man, this is, that's 2 heartbreaking losses for this OpTic Texas squad. 6-5 yesterday, 6-5 today. They're search and destroy. They started off, at least on their offenses, they were great at making those mid-game adjustments, great at being aggressive when they needed to, great at planting the bomb. That was what led to a lot of their offensive wins. But Minnesota, they were just so confident to get the game back into their favor. They were just working that B plant immediately. 5-4, if Standy doesn't get that bomb down, it's probably a totally different round. But they said, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to continue to do that round 11, even with Dashy calling out the cross. They had 2 players there. Someone's got to be more aggressive towards the site next time.
Oh boy, let's go and take a look at that one again. I mean, just an unbelievable search and destroy game. I mean, just from start to finish. I mean, it was back and forth. I mean, we joined in, and really, to me, I kind of got focused around that 4-4, rather that 4-4 round in particular. Just a crazy one from start to finish. But Jay, we'll get to see it again, and I hope we get to see that moment where iLLeY comes around the corner, and that's just a moment that's going to haunt you, right, Jay? I mean, as a player, moments like that are going to haunt you, knowing that if you're at least able to take down 1, you probably get a double kill there. And from that moment, the round is completely different. Just great reactions from Standy to prevent what could have been a huge clutch from iLLeY.
And this round 8 too, this was a 2v4. Like the fact that iLLeY was able to find 2, Dashy finds the 3rd, forces into a 1v1. I said that was going to be the round that basically tells me how the map's going to go.
Yeah.
Such a crucial round for MajorManiak to win that huge one-on-one. And then eventually OpTic, they find themselves winning the next round. But right here, Standy was able to get iLLeY with that punch. iLLeY was almost able to pop the 2-piece, stop the bomb plant, or at least put the man advantage in their favor. But once Standy shuts him down, they were able to just play the trades. Dashy was trying to go for that trade onto the player on site, but eventually he got teamed up on. They eventually dropped to a 3v1. And at that point with Scump, I know you're a great player, but Minnesota, their S&D is real.
It is. It is the real deal. Back-to-back days, back-to-back losses in Game 5, Round 11. It has got to hurt OpTic Texas, an 0-2 week in which we expected this to really be the rebound opportunity for them. Let's go and bring in the desk. I mean, guys, what an unbelievable way, right?
Yeah.
To close out opening weekend. We're thinking, hey, this one has the legs to maybe get to Game 5. The Wild Berlin hardpoint into the Round 11 Search Destroy. Guys, what'd you make of it?
What I made of it that Minnesota Røkkr, okay, they're looking fantastic, okay? The talk last year, well, a lot of it was about how clutch attach is, right? Well, the entire team carries this gene. And if you're an OpTic fan, you're running headfirst into a green wall, a red wall. It doesn't even matter at this point in time because, yo, damn, that's frustrating, man. But Lando, Steady, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much throughout the entirety of the day. Do you guys have any last words to say before, we send you off? That was a crazy game. My heart's still pounding.
Yeah, I got something, man. This is the opening weekend. This is the opening weekend. We've had multiple Game 5s. We have some of the top teams who we thought in the beginning of the year would be dominant who are starting to fall down now.
Yeah.
And like all these teams like London, like Seattle, who haven't really had a lot of success ever since entering the CDL, they're just taking the game by storm. This is an insane start to the season.
Unbelievable. Vanguard is lit. That's my quote. There you go, Bill. Vanguard is lit. That's it.
Thank you guys so much. Right here on the desk, I'm Belly. aLLeY and Nameless. I mean, starting with you, aLLeY. I am mind blown. OpTic, just let it go.
You know what? And there was shining lights of hope, especially in that Berlin when they were finally starting to get those early rotations, man. But Minnesota, the teamwork, it's there. And their decision-making is incredible. Once their slaying power starts to get cranked up a little bit as we get further into the season, man, they could be a much more dangerous team than I think all of us were expecting.
That was an incredible series, guys, like literally from start to finish. When you look at Minnesota, the story has to be the turnaround in Search and Destroy. They look phenomenal in that game mode. MajorManiak in particular, we highlighted him in the pre-show like he had to take over in Search and Destroy, and that's what we saw in the Tuscan. He was top broken, picking up kills, first bloods over and over. They had 5 first bloods in a row as a team, and then moving into that Game 5, every single thing that could be thrown at them strategically from OpTic, it was thrown at them, right? The one thing I want OpTic to look at going forward is stop letting them get that A bomb down so easy. Even though they did win that round, it was an insane clutch that Shotzzy should not have got that 2-piece, and honestly, Scump either. So they're going to have to reevaluate how they approach that retake going forward.
And you know what? Minnesota Røkkr, they deserve that win. That team is phenomenal, right? But if I'm on OpTic Texas, I mean, yeah, you take a look at the list of names that are on the team, and it doesn't even matter if you can't even get wins at the end of the day, right? OpTic Texas, we want you guys to pick it up. Scump is playing out of his mind now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from these individual players, but we need you guys to win as a team, and I believe in you guys. Can't wait to see you all on the screen next time. But ladies and gentlemen, we actually have an interview with the one and only MajorManiak. Get my mans on the screen right now, because that comeback was incredible. Major, man, you got to be feeling great. To end out the day, you guys put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, feeling good. Definitely a sloppy series, I think, like hardpoint control-wise. But, yeah, to come out, win those Search and Destroys was definitely big. And to start off the season hot, especially with a win, is important. So.
Awesome. And you got to tell me, what is it like sticking with the same roster, heading into this game where everybody's been playing hot potato, throwing players around, bringing up players from challengers? What's it like for y'all as a team to stay together this year?
I think it's important, like us, Toronto, and FaZe all stayed coming into the year, and just to have that comfortability with your teammates, even out of the game, I think just gives you that slight advantage. And we all know each other, how we play, how we, how we can learn and just improve as a team, especially from Major 4 to Champs last year. So yeah, just being able to work with each other for another year is awesome.
And Major, what was the adjustment you guys made from Kickoff Classic until now? Because your Search and Destroy looks phenomenal.
Yeah, we were just playing a lot of like S&D scrims versus other teams, just trying to focus in on what we're trying to do. Like mid-round adjustments, things like that. But I think the main thing we really need to focus on is our hard point. I think Control, we played pretty well as a team, but I think the hard point's the most important thing moving forward.
Right, and Major, you didn't see it because you're too busy beating OpTic Texas, right? But there was a theater full of people out there in Minnesota, die-hard fans, and they went crazy when you guys won that round 11. Any words you want to say to the fans out there and the supporters, and anything you want to give us a reason to look forward to when it comes to the Minnesota Røkkr here in the 2022 season?
Yeah, the Minnesota Røkkr fans are amazing. I've even just being local to Minnesota now, have met a few people just out and about, and the love is crazy. We all appreciate it. And just to see that, I was actually just gassing up that reaction too, because we had seen it. So yeah, it's awesome. I think it's super cool.
All right, Major, thank you so much, man. You've been phenomenal. I love you and your team. I wish you guys a lot of success this year, and we'll see you next time, baby.
Thank you, man.
No problem. But back here on the analyst desk, I mean, whoo, that was wild. Nameless, man, just this entire day in that last series, closing the entire weekend out. This is what we wanted.
You know, and we talked about so much in that series, mainly the Search and Destroys. We didn't even really talk about the hard point as well. Like Minnesota clutching up and getting in to contest that hard point. And like, that was perfect Call of Duty. Standy up top, P2 just frying, and then they get over to the next hill, and they get every single kill they need as well. OpTic, sort of a blunder on their end. Obviously, they could have just rotated and set up, but, I mean, they're getting better. I know he says they need to work on their hard point. There are a couple things. I just think their slaying power, I don't even know if it can get there. They're going to have to play perfect in hard point in order to consistently contest against the top teams like Seattle Surge, like Atlanta FaZe. So maybe there's just an inherent flaw when it comes to Minnesota hard point. But in their Search and Destroy, if they can continue that, they can contend with them.
Right, and today we had just great matches all around. Kick things off with the Florida Mutineers beating the mess out of Paris Legion 3-1 after Paris put out such a great showing yesterday, aBeZy.
I agree, but you know what? This doesn't surprise me at all. I think what we saw from Florida wasn't what they wanted to put forth, and that's what we heard from in the interview as well, is that's not the team they wanted to be, and that today, what they showed today was what they want to do going forward. And not Paris. They have surprised a lot of us, especially with how low we ranked them, and I'm expecting a lot more out of this season.
Right, and Nameless, the second matchup of the day was just as exciting. The LA Thieves, they struck hard and fast, but it just didn't last when it came to the Atlanta FaZe.
It was only a matter of time before Atlanta FaZe woke up. I mean, we saw today was just an excellent display of talent. Search and Destroy was great once again. When you look at the last two maps 3 and 4, they were lights out. I mean, we saw aBeZy really come to life today. He was playing extremely aggressive, picking up 2 and 3 pieces to bail them out of some tough situations. We've seen Cellium continue his excellence throughout this game. For me, he's been the best player on their team thus far. And then that bow cage was perfect. They ran 2 ARs the entire time, and they fried. We heard Chance talking about it, that we haven't seen too many teams do that. Well, that's the biggest difference we've seen on bow cage, and they dominated them from start to finish.
All right, and aLLeY, the game field marquee match of the day. Everybody was hoping that OpTic Texas were able to get a win, but they're looking like us right now. We're sitting at 0 wins together in the CDL. But still, though, we saw great showings from them individually, but it wasn't enough as the boys from Minnesota just straight up rocked them.
You know what? I seriously respect Minnesota Røkkr going and scrimming other teams specifically for Search and Destroy and polishing that game mode, because you know what? Search and Destroy wins chips. I fully believe in that, and they believe in it too as well. And their hard point does not look bad, okay? They have the early rotations. They just have to start winning the early rotational gunfights and hold it, okay? OpTic is a very aggressive team, was getting in their face early, but they did come out top with the win on a 3-2 over Texas.
You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings, because so far, the story, you can't even guess it. The script is just thrown out the window at this point. We're seeing upsets. We're seeing teams that we know that are supposed to be at the top starting to fall just a little bit. And speaking of the top, shout out to the EU boys on the London Royal Ravens, 2-0 right now. But the biggest shock throughout the entirety of this weekend, Nameless, Seattle Surge are the real deal, my dude.
Absolutely. And if you'd have told, I mean, like the last 2 years for London Royal Ravens and Seattle Surge to be 1-2 is absolutely mind-blowing. Even though it's only been 2 matches, still, both those organizations, pat on the back to the general managers of both those teams because they've turned it around and finally find themselves in a comfortable spot with a good roster that has a great outlook on the season.
Right, and aLLeY, we got to give a shout out to the Boston Breach, undefeated in their opening weekend.
Absolutely, and we're going to see the points across the boards now. I mean, London up there, Surge, Breach. Only one team, Atlanta FaZe, is what we all expected heading top 4 into our next weekend. And LAG as well. I mean, they're 1-0. Florida Mutineers up there as well. And then you see Toronto Ultra sitting on the other side of standings, man. This is going to be such a close year of Call of Duty because of the competition.
Right, and ladies and gentlemen, next week we're going to be back for some more hot Call of Duty Vanguard action. You already know the deal. We're going to kick things off with Boston Breach, the undefeated new team in the CDL, facing off against Paris Legion. Those boys are going to want to come back with a chip on their shoulder. After that, Minnesota Røkkr are looking to extend their streak, facing off against, and it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be the Seattle Surge. But the last matchup of the day, February 11th, by the way, will be Toronto Ultra versus the Los Angeles Guerrillas. And speaking of which, LAG, they're looking better than ever. And this weekend just shows you how great Call of Duty Vanguard has been. Here on the desk, we've been having one hell of a time. The matches have been incredible. My name is aBeZy, and we're going to shut this thing down. aLLeY and Nameless, you all have been fantastic. From players like aSeam on redemption tours, beating his own team, to what, map 5s and endless round 11s, the CDL in 2022 is just about everything. I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see what the entirety of the year brings, because you know how it is over here. We absolutely bring it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next time for some more CDL action.